Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. I'm your course instructor Dr. Faiza Shaheen here with the course of Economics and Financing of Education EDUC 4124. We are going to start our chapter number 7, which is Migration and Brain Drain, under the lecture number 10. Before starting, we will have an overview of the previous lectures. We have seen and talked about 6 units under this course: Introduction to Economics, then unit number 2, Educational Economics. Then we have seen different concepts of demand, social rate of return, cost benefit analysis, and manpower planning. These are the social rate of return, CBA, and manpower planning are the approaches used to measure the utility of spending on education, and manpower planning is the approach that enables us to plan that how well we can recruit the manpower which will work for the future. Then we have seen in unit number 4 the educational outputs, that what are the outputs and gains on spending on education. Unit number 5 was about CEA, cost effective analysis, that how can we measure among different alternatives and we can measure the effectiveness of spending on any project in educational context. Then we have seen the concept of budgeting in Pakistan, the concept, phases, and different types of budgeting used in Pakistan, and specifically in the context of education. Now the agenda of today's lecture is about introduction of migration and brain drain. So this is the concept that tells us that migration means that when people leave their country or leave a place for some reason, whereas brain drain is the concept when skillful labor or the educated people leave a country and provide their services in another country or place, that is brain drain. So what are these terms? The definition of migration, types of migration, and effects of migration and brain drain on education. Starting from the introduction of migration and brain drain. Migration for work is not a new phenomena. History presents a number of examples of people moving from one country to another to a better economic life. So economic migration reached a peak in the 1970s and early 1980s, and the number rose up to millions of people. So this is the concept that we see people leave a country, leave a place, move from one place to another for so many reasons. Sometimes those reasons are social, sometimes are economic reasons, and sometimes those are socio-political reasons. So this is not a new phenomena. If we see the history, there is an evidence that people leave one place and move towards another place. So what is the concept of migration? It says the movement of individuals from one place to another is called migration. It can also be defined as a movement of individuals from one place to another in the pursuit of certain socio-economic and political objectives. So every individual has different objectives of life. If they want to meet their objectives, whether those are related to their socio-economic pursuits or whether those are relevant to their political objectives, they have to move, and this movement is defined as migration. So after knowing the concept of migration, we will see the types of migration. Broadly speaking, we can categorize the types of migration into two. Those are internal migration and external migration, under which we can see more types of migration. Starting from internal migration, it says that when people move from one area of a country to another area of same country, it is termed internal migration. So they are not leaving the country, but within the country they are moving from one place to another. That is their internal migration. There are different patterns of internal migration in Pakistan, including these three, which are rural to rural migration, rural to urban migration, and urban to rural migration, which is very rare. Most of the time we see that people move from one village to another village, then village life to the city life, and in rare cases sometimes city life to the village life. This migration occurs within the country, and the geographical area of the movement is limited. That is how it is called internal migration. Within the country, moving from one place to another is internal migration. Whereas, what does it mean by external migration? It means the movement of individuals from one country to another country. Whatever the cause is defined as is called external migration. So associated with external migration are two terms, immigration and migration. The peoples who are leaving the country or who are entering the country, those are all sensitive to study under external migration. So external migration is a broader term, whereas internal occurs within the premises of a country. Now we see the political, social and economic migration. Political migration means political migration takes place when individuals are driven from one place of land to another, or are attracted politically toward a certain area. Due to the political reasons, if people leave a place and move to another place, that is their political migration. The examples of political migration can be many. In the national context, you can see that people leave their place due to some political reasons, maybe due to the elections, due to the having low interest towards a particular party, or if even the influence of one area is by one political party that is not relevant to the objectives of people living there, they may leave. So political migration is that when people leave their country due to political reasons, that is political migration. Next is social migration. When a dominant community on the basis of religion, ethnicity, race or culture, and the later community is compelled to migrate to such places as are acceptable to them, such migration may be termed as migration to social migration. So when the reason of leaving a country and moving towards another place is religion, ethnicity, race or culture, it is categorized under social migration. If the reasons of movement are social, then it is social migration. Next is economic migration. The migration from rural to urban areas takes place mainly on economic grounds. Similarly, people move from one country to another mainly to improve their economic conditions. And basically, this is the most occurring type of migration which we see and observe around us, that to improve the economic conditions of the people, to earn better, to get a good job, to improve the employability, people move from one place to another. So if the reason is to improve the economic condition, that will be categorized as economic migration. Beyond these types, internal, external and political, socio-economic and economic, there are two other types which are horizontal and vertical migration. These are regarding to the geographical direction of the land, which says horizontal migration means when people move from rural area to rural area or from urban to urban area, the migration is called horizontal migration. Horizontal means that on a symmetry, one place to another, which is more or less having same geographical conditions. And vertical migration is when people move from rural area to urban area or from developing country to a more developed country, it is called vertical migration. अगर वो गांव से शहर में चले जाएंगे या एक कम तरक्की याफ्ता मुल्क से टोटल तरक्की याफ्ता मुल्क में चले जाएंगे तो ये उनकी वर्टिकल माइग्रेशन है. Now we are going to start the second concept, which is brain drain and labor migration. Brain drain is the concept. Simply, if people leave their country, that is migration. But if skillful people, manpower, leave the country, educated people leave the country, that is brain drain, which is denoted by the term itself. If a brain is draining from the place. And labor migration is that the skillful people are leaving or moving towards another place. So brain drain is sometimes the trained and skilled manpower of a country moves to another country in order to bring direct benefits to themselves and their families, and indirect benefits to their country in the shape of foreign exchange. This is called brain drain. But this also has a negative effect on the institution of the country they leave. This type of migration is called brain drain. So this is a huge concept which says that skillful and trained people and educated people leave the country. They may get direct benefits for this movement to themselves, to their families, but some indirect benefits are also achieved by the country they are leaving or they are going to join in the form of foreign exchange. But negative aspects are also there. The place they leave that has a lack of those skillful people. So positive and negative effects both are there of this concept of brain drain. The second concept is labor immigration. Labor immigration is the movement of unskillful and semi-skillful people, manpower, to the other countries. It has both positive and negative effects on economy of the exporting country. So here we are not only concerned with the educated people, there may be some labor class which is unskillful or semi-skilled manpower. If they leave the place, that is labor immigration. So when labor migration is occurring, we have to plan different things such as returning migration. Returning migrants, the term is used for those who having completed their job or contracts and are coming back to the country. They are returning because the countries they migrated to have almost completed their projects or have trained their labor force or are getting manpower on lower wages from other countries. So the concept of downsizing can be relevant to know here to better understand this concept, that if some people leave the country and provide their services in another country, up to a certain level, after duration, their contract is finished. They have to come back to their country. An example, in the case of the pandemic virus, which is coronavirus, which is spread over here on worldwide, we have seen that so many countries are returning the migrants to their own native countries. So the returning people who are coming back due to certain reasons, whether they have completed their projects or they have been replaced by some other trained labor force, but they are returning back to their country, and it has to be planned on the part of the country they left. The effects of migration and brain drain. So we will see some effects of these two terms, migration and brain drain. There are some positive effects as well as there are some negative aspects. Employment. The positive aspect. Pakistan, like other countries, has an abundant supply of labor. Therefore, one of the main problems in Pakistan in the 1970s was to find employment for those who had no work they were doing needed. Thus there were problem of both unemployment and underemployment. So immigration also had in an indirect way that it increased employment opportunities within the country. So this is the positive aspect, that certain kind of migration creates employment. Negative aspect. In the mid 1970s, immigration created a serious shortage of skilled labor, both with the aspect of quality as well as quantity. In the Pakistan labor market, because of 80 to 90% of the immigrants were from the market. So this type of immigration creates shortage of skilled labor. If skilled labor are leaving, so there is a shortage of skilled labor on the part of the country which they are leaving. Another concept is remittance of the immigrants. The people who are coming from different countries, they are giving with certain amount that is called their remittance in the form of salary, some benefit. The remittance of the immigrants were a great benefit to Pakistan. In the 1975, they were about $1.5 billion and reached about $2 billion annually by 1980s. They helped considerably in reducing the burden of the balance of payments and in supporting the country's economy. So this is a good and kind of benefit, the remittance that is achieved by the immigrants. Effects on income distribution. So other than the positive and negative aspects, income distribution is also affected. 2/3 of the migrant workers originated from rural areas, and approximately half of the all migrants were unskilled labor. So according to Leon 1986, the immigration of a large number of workers to Middle East countries has played a substantial role in increasing inequalities at the same time as reducing poverty. The large remittance from immigrants to their families have increased the incomes of a large section of the population. About 80% of these immigrants came from rural areas. Their remittance reached families that used to be poor and that are poor no longer. So if the people who are moving on the basis of economic reasons, their families somehow improve their lifestyle, and those who are poor, they do not remain poor so longer as the result of this immigration, which has a direct effect on the income distribution. Another effect is on higher wages level. We can compare the wage level of providing a service in the native land and as compared to the other developed country. Wage level in Pakistan were also affected by the immigration of skilled and semi-skilled manpower. It was observed in the late 1970s that there was a sharp rise in the wages of the skilled and semi-skilled workers. The cost of production due to higher wages also rose up. The rising trend in wages could not be checked because the replacement of outgoing production workers was neither sufficient nor in time. So there are so many factors which affect the system of or trend in the wages, but we have seen that the pattern of different immigration of skilled and semi-skilled manpower has changed the trend in the wages level of the country. So there are some other social effects of immigration as well, which says that a study was conducted to determine the socio-economical effects of immigration on the families of immigrants left behind. They studied households without migrants and compared those that received remittance with those they did not. The results suggested that fewer women worked and more children went to school in the households that received remittance than in those that did not. So the effect of remittance was good on the families who were receiving that. These are the social effects. When people leave a country for the economic reasons, the socio-economic status of that family rises up, as well as the remittance they receive on returning home, that also has good economic effects on the, not only on that individual but also on that family as a whole. So this study suggests that results show that good conditions were there, that less women worked and more children went to the school. So this is a good condition which occurred due to receiving the remittance, and it was compared with those who did not receive the remittance. So this was the end of our lecture, which was about migration and brain drain. We have seen in this topic, in this chapter, that what is the concept of migration and brain drain. Just as that when people leave the country for any reason, whether that is social, political or economic, that is their migration. And when skillful and educated people leave a land, that is brain drain. The both kind of movement has different types and effects, not only on the individuals but also on their families. Those are the direct benefits, and as well as there are some indirect benefits those are borne by the economy of the country which is left behind. So I hope you have understood the topics which are taught in this lecture. Thank you for your learning.